the Celestial Empire, or Points and Pickings of Information about China and the Chinese, by George Mogridge. Chapter 30, Natural History. In giving you a few points and pickings of natural history, so far as it regards China, I am not about to surprise you with a great many wonderful relations of wonderful animals. I cannot treat you with a tale of a lion with shaggy mane and terrible teeth and claws, whose roar is like thunder, and whose paw, with a single blow, would break the backbone of a horse, nor with a relation of a giraffe 18 or 20 feet high, flying like the wind across the sultry desert, outstripping the dogs which are pursuing him, nor of a boa constrictor, stretching his enormous jaws and swallowing a tiger. But I believe that neither lions nor giraffes nor boa constrictors are found in China. Yet still, perhaps, you will hear something of which you have not heard before. It has been asserted, and I think with truth, that of no country on the globe of equal extent do we know so little as we do of the Celestial Empire with regard to its animal productions. In China, there are elephants, rhinoceroses, tigers, wild boars, buffaloes, bears, wolves, foxes, camels, deer, goats, elks, monkeys, and other animals. It is said that the province of Fujian hath an animal perfectly resembling a man, but longer-armed and hairy all over, called Fei, most swift and greedy after human flesh, which, that he may the better take his prey, feigneth a laughter, and suddenly, while the person stands listening, seizeth upon him. This is a tale which I by no means wish you to believe. That great ugly baboons of the orangutan kind may be found in Fujian, I do not doubt. But the laughing part of the story deserves to be laughed at, as well as the man-eating propensity of the baboon. One of the most grotesque-looking monkeys that I have ever seen is the Duke, or Cochin China monkey. Its orange-colored face, with yellow tufts of hair on each side of it, its black hands and thighs, its bright red legs and white tail present a strange appearance. In China, there are black apes, grey apes, and yellow apes, and some of them are extraordinary-looking creatures. I suppose you know that the monkey has a long tail, the baboon a short tail, and the ape no tail at all. Lynx, leopards, and porcupines are found in China, as well as yellow rats, field rats, cats, squirrels, hares, and rabbits. Bucks and does abound in many parts, but I must now speak of the elephant. You know that this bulky and sagacious animal is used as a beast of burden in India, but this is not the case in China. I mean that this is not commonly the case. In China, elephants are principally used to increase the pomp of imperial greatness. Something of this kind was mentioned in the account I gave you of the coronation, or rather the ascending to the summit, of the emperor. If we go back as far as Marco Polo's description of the commemoration of the festival of the White Feast by the Grand Khan, we hear of a splendid account of elephants in procession. He says, it is on this day that all his elephants amounting to 5,000 are exhibited in procession, covered with housings of cloth, fancifully and richly worked with gold and silk in figures of birds and beasts. Each of these supports upon its shoulders 2 coffers filled with vessels of plate and other apparatus for the use of the court. Then follows a train of camels, in like manner laden with various necessary articles of furniture. When the whole are properly arranged, they pass in review before His Majesty and form a pleasing spectacle. What you think of this procession of 5,000 elephants, I cannot tell. But for my own part, had Marco Polo mentioned only half the number, I should have had more faith in his veracity. 5,000 elephants? I have heard of such a thing as 60 elephants being paraded round and round in procession, passing behind their stabling, and then again making their appearance as though they were different elephants. In this manner, they seem to be an almost endless multitude. Now it is possible that the elephants described by Marco Polo moved in a circle, and thus gave rise to what seems to be an extravagant assertion. China is famous for pigs, and the black hog is very abundant. Where one joint of mutton is seen in the country, a dozen or more joints of pork make their appearance. There is a tale abroad that the Chikiang, or musk deer, well known in China, lives on serpents, but I do not believe one word of it. This animal is hunted principally for the musk, which it supplies. The hunter, as in chamois hunting, ascends the most dangerous and solitary altitudes he can attain and shoots his prey, or takes him with his nets, or drives him into defiles where other hunters lie in wait to destroy him. It is easier to imagine a son of Confucius smoking opium, carrying an umbrella, sitting at his books, or picking tea than it is to fancy him chasing the Chekiang from crag to crag and from cliff to cliff on the cloud-capped mountains. The horses of China are, for the most part, stunted in growth and poor in condition. If ever you should find an eclipse or a flying childers in the imperial dominions, do let me see him, for hardly can I think that such an animal is to be found from Peking to Canton. Chinese asses and mules are of a good size, especially the latter. The camel is among the useful animals of the Chinese, and few scenes are more picturesque than that of a group of camels and their celestial drivers. The Bactrian, or two-humped kind, mostly prevails. The legs of this useful animal are not so long as those of the Arabian camel, and his neck is somewhat thick and short. If you ever wish to perform a long journey in a little time in China, you must mount one of the breed called Tong Kyo Fo, or camel with feet of the wind. You will then move forward at a pace that will suit your purpose. The Zeren, or Chinese antelope, is a fleet and beautiful creature inhabiting plains and barren mountains. It is known in China by the name of Huangyang, or the yellow goat. Its bounds in running are truly surprising. The yak, or grunting ox, is made useful in many ways, for the hairs of its tail are not only manufactured into stuffs and carpeting, but serve also to adorn the standards and bucklers of the Chinese officers. The standards of the Turks and Persians, called horsetails, are made of the same material. Many a Chinese has his bonnet decorated with red tufts of the dyed hair of the yak. The Arne is a buffalo much domesticated in China. The true Arne has long black hair growing from a white skin, and its tail is short. In size, it is as much as 7 feet high. The buffalo in more common use is a foot lower. Birds must needs have been plentiful when Kublai reigned over China, for it is said that his attendants in his hawking excursions amounted to 20,000. Eagles were then trained to stoop at wolves, and swans, cranes, pheasants, partridges, and other birds abounded. Gerfalcons, sacres, lanner, and peregrines were fully employed in sporting, every bird having a silver label fastened to its leg, on which was inscribed the name of its owner. China is famous for the beauty and abundance of its pheasants, of which the kinky, golden pheasant, and a stranger and bolder bird, the silver pheasant, are perhaps the most prized, though the ring and Argus pheasant are fine birds, while the barred-tail pheasant is truly magnificent. The tail feathers of the latter are sometimes 7 feet long. The penciled and the diamond pheasants are also beautiful. The bird of paradise of its different kinds is a splendid creature. The mandarin duck is very beautiful in its plumage. It is said that this bird will never mate a second time. Peacocks, cocks and hens, quails, partridges, pigeons, herons, curlews, plovers, woodcocks, snipes, fishing cormorants, parrots, paraquets, and ducks are among the other birds of the empire. Tortoises and serpents in many parts abound. The former, which sometimes run to a very large size, are kept in pleasure grounds as objects of curiosity by the nobility, while some of the latter are very venomous. The monstrous snakes in the Isle of Hainan are usually shy and not dangerous, but woe betide him who is bitten by the Pekyi Hak. This reptile, which is about 3 feet long when fully grown, comes up from the creeks and creeps up drains into houses. It loves marshy places and readily takes to the water, wherein it appears at home. It is found also among the weeds and rushes brought up by the freshers of the river. There are several kinds of snakes that abound in the rice fields. If I believe the strange accounts which have been given of huge Chinese serpents of 10 paces long, with claws like those of a tiger, with glaring eyes as big as 4 penny loaves, with large and sharp teeth, and jaws wide enough to swallow human beings, I should dwell a little upon them. But, as it is, I will pass them by, merely making the remark that the natives are said to lay pieces of wood armed with iron spikes and covered over with sand in their paths to destroy them, their great weight occasioning the sharp spikes to wound and rip them up. Some say that these huge monsters are nothing more than crocodiles, but whatever they are, we must now leave them. The fish of China are very abundant, from the huangyu or yellow fish of the Yangtze-Kiang, which sometimes weighs 800 pounds, to the smallest kind that swims, the chuo-ki-yu or armor fish. The mealfish, so called on account of its whiteness, and the goldfish, the most brilliant of freshwater fishes, are in great repute. But I must tell you of a singular way of fishing practiced by the Chinese. It is as follows. In the morning, when the sun rises, one may see on the rivers a considerable number of boats, and several of these diving birds sitting on the sides. The fishermen turn their boats about upon the river, and at the signal which they give, by striking one of their oars on the water, the cormorants fly into the river and, diving to the very bottom, seize the fish by the middle. Then, coming up again, they carry it to the bark, where the fisherman, receiving it, takes the bird and, holding her legs uppermost, makes her disgorge the small fish which she has swallowed, by passing his hand along her neck, on which there is a ring at the lower part, which hinders them from going directly into the crop. When the fishing is quite over, they take away the ring and let them feed. When a particular fish is too large for one, they assist each other. One takes the tail and the other the head, and bring it to their master. The insects of China, as might be supposed in so large a country, are in their kinds almost endless. Beetles of surprising beauty and butterflies, 8 or 9 inches between the tips of their outspread wings, figure among them. We now and then see a fine moth or butterfly in England, but think of one rich and gorgeous in colors, 8 or 9 inches across his wings, winnowing his way amid buds and blossoms and China roses, fluttering with rapture through his sunny hour, a glowing insect and a flying flower. You have now had all the points and pickings about Chinese animals, birds and fish, reptiles and insects that I have time to give. In future, when you think of China, some part of what I have said on these subjects will, I doubt, not rise to your remembrance.